Okay, why would you do that? Make me look like a fool at the very beginning of the stream.
That was my idea.
You sleep so much and then you still yawn.
Yeah. Well, I was
The
busy
trick is just
yesterday.
that's true. That's true. You did do a lot of hiking.
And I stayed up till like 3:30 like an idiot.
I think stayed up that late. I guess I was on with you until like one-ish or something.
Yeah.
Oh, you keep listening to Weird Al. You just
No,
had to listen through all of Poodle Hat again.
no. I don't think.
Oh,
Did
you're
we do that?
running with Scissors Man.
Did we do that before?
What?
When we were in Canada, did we listen through Poodle Hat?
We listened through a lot of his polka stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
those
for
are very
sure.
good.
No, they're fine. Just when they're back to back to back to back on the long road in nowhere Canada, it starts to get to you. It does things to a man.
All polka, no pop makes Cooper a dull boy.
Yeah, one day you're going to go into our show notes for an episode, just going to say that over and over again.
uh, I got an email. You'll like this. I got an email today from Twitch
Hmm.
on my personal account.
Okay.
I got a follower today.
Hey. Well, wait, what's the last time you streamed on your personal account?
Oh, that's a very good question, Cooper. It's got to be at least 3 months.
And someone's decided to follow you?
Yeah, let me open it up real quick and I'll see. I can tell you exactly when the last time I streamed was.
I'm
Good
looking for
video producer.
quality, not quantity.
Last time I streamed was so long ago I don't even have the archive of it. Is there even a way to find out? My last stream was Tuesday, February 2nd.
That was 4 months ago.
Yeah. And that was one stream when the previous stream before that was probably 4 months as well.
Infrequent streamer.
Yeah. Well, it's just
Every now and then.
I like watching stuff while I stream, and I haven't been able to figure out a way to set it up so I can. Or I like watching stuff while I play video games, and I haven't figured out a way to set it up so I can watch something
While you stream?
Yeah. Well, I don't. It's not
Does
like
that
I have
defeat the
enough
purpose?
people. It's not like I have enough people in chat to have a full conversation. You know,
Fair, fair.
like fair enough. You know, when I was doing Spore, there's people there that could talk, but like I'm pretty sure the most recent stream. Like here, let's view the stream summary for that one I did. I had one viewer, one average viewer.
You're not watching something right now, are you, Sam?
No, I
Okay.
well, I'm street Cooper. The way that you are going out to the stream is through desktop audio.
Ah. Just in the middle of our review. Yeah, so anyways, I really liked Hey y'all. Huh?
Scott here.
He actually did just release a video.
Wait, did he?
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't watch it yet.
Well, I was watching stream archives.
Ah,
Oh, he
tisk
did.
tisk.
D makes. Shit.
It's a classic.
It was an hour ago, too. I
No,
could have watched it before. Damn it.
no singing though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only the specials that have that. But see, once it gets so late in the day, I'm like, okay, people generally don't release things at this time. Because the really hot time for releases is around 5 p.m. EST.
Mm.
Because that's when, people are going to be having dinner, that kind of stuff. So you're trying to drive engagement from just I'm going to sit down and have some dinner.
Analytics.
I'm going to if sometimes people from other parts of the world will do a slightly different time. They'll pick the demographic that fits best for the section of the world they live. But generally, 5 p.m. EST is a good time for both England or Europe and Americas, which is most of the people that are on YouTube for English language channels. That is
Right.
Australia kind of just gets fucked, but very few people live in Australia.
They got a population of something.
They have a population, but it's not very big.
It is. Let me just confirm. Only 25 million.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
less than there is in the LA area.
exactly. Yeah. It's so you see why people target. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think about, Cooper, but United States is the third largest country in the world, which I don't understand how that works.
What, by landmass or population?
Population.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when number 1 is China with 1.4 billion. Number
Mm-hmm.
2 is India with like 1.3 billion.
And we're a distant
And
third.
then number 3 is the United States with like 340 million. It's like, hold on, there's a bit of a gap there.
Australia start picking up their whole continent. Come on.
Well, if you look at Australia, most of that
Yeah,
is desert.
it's
Like,
like
there's
it's
no
like it's
living
like
there.
it's 90% outback, which is like unlivable.
Yeah. And
I
I
like
mean,
pulling up.
one of the YouTube channels I really like to watch is called the Bush Bee Man, and he's a beekeeper in Australia, and he lives out in the bush, which is like not quite the desert, but it's still really deserty, and even that is like
It's like
it's nearly unlivable.
I remember reading somewhere. It's like something like 85% of the population like lives within like X mile, like 30 miles from the coast.
Yeah,
In Australia. Then like the other 10% is like in that bush area, and then like 5% is in the outback, which is like 90% of the landmass of Australia.
yeah,
I mean, if you look at a map of it, you'll notice large chunks of it just don't have roads going through it.
because it's unlivable, and it's the exact same kind of thing like with Canada. I think it's about 80% lives within 50 miles of the border. Because you get much
Yes,
further north, you're in the Arctic Circle.
cold.
Yeah. And then you got those weirdos that live up in Alaska.
They are brothers up north.
And Alaska's not even the least populous U.S. state.
Well, not for lack of trying. I mean, it's huge. It just doesn't have that many people.
Yeah, well, no,
I mean,
I mean it's almost got 1,730,000. To be fair, it's a much more interesting place than the least populous.
Wyoming.
Yeah. Isn't it one of the Dakotas? Oh, it is Wyoming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those square states in the middle.
I'm pretty sure North Dakota. Why would people live in North Dakota and South Dakota over Wyoming?
Oil industry.
But it's North and South Dakota.
Hey, if you make a lot of money,
Fair enough.
it's got Rapid City. It's got Mount Rushmore. The Badlands. Everyone loves the Badlands.
I mean, it's a fine place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Well, you don't, so
Yeah, I don't want to live here either.
yeah, I was about to say you much rather live in Metropolis, Indiana, huh?
No, no, I don't.
Might be a bit of the pot calling the kettle black.
I mean, you say that, but the top U.S. states by population, Indiana is like 19th,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're in the top half.
which is crazy to me. We're in the top 20.
Some of those western states.
Even crazier is Ohio's in like top 10.
I mean, yeah, Ohio's it's actually a pretty big state. It's got Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland,
Yeah, but like
Toledo.
people hate it.
Yeah, that's I mean,
I mean, I guess it's just a case of we're fortunate enough to be able to
yeah,
afford to
I've
move
got
out
fam.
of our home state.
I've got family in Ohio. They like it.
Is that where
There's
Uncle
sections.
Squirrel's from?
Hey, no, he's from Appalachia, from the mountains.
Oh, all right. You want to get on into it?
Yeah, let's get on.
Let's get it on. Let me go to hold on. What am I doing? Oh, hey. One of the people I'm viewing on my personal Twitch account went live. Audio Shop. They're an interesting channel.
So you switching over?
Yeah, I'm just pulling us up on my second monitor first to make sure the stream's running smooth.
Yeah.
No other
You
reason.
think by the 60th time we were doing this, we'd have it down?
Yeah, I just need to make sure. Anyway, Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. It has been
Yes, welcome
a
back.
hot second, to say the
It's been
least,
about a month since our last one.
and that wasn't planned.
Yes, that was just a myriad of life occurrences.
Yeah, well, because we had Mother's Day, which was planned,
Hmm.
and then the next week you got your second shot, right?
Yeah, I got the vaccine, and that kind of put me out.
And then the next week I was celebrating my mom's birthday.
And then you had that poison ivy incident.
No, I didn't get any poison ivy from hiking yesterday. I saw a lot of it.
Oh,
I,
I'm sure.
I was walking. I'm like, there's poison ivy. There's poison ivy. There's poison ivy. And I'm like, this is growing like inches from the where my foot just stepped. So I was very careful not to accidentally like nick my shoes against my leg while I was walking or anything.
That's smart, because that's not fun.
No. Anyway, um, but we're back finally. And this week we are talking about "All Things Must Pass" by George Harrison. We're also a little bit
Yeah.
later than normal. About an hour.
Yeah, so just that was the compromise of some like things going on today. So I'm like, we're not putting off another week. We'll just go back a little hour. This is Audio Shop After Dark.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
like
yeah,
we're like
that's fair enough. The sun goes down at like 9:10 p.m. now here.
we're like the Nick at Night version of music reviews.
Yeah,
When you fall asleep and then wake up at like 1 a.m. and the George Lopez show is on for some reason. You didn't even have the TV on when you fell asleep, but it's always on.
and you live
That's what we
alone,
are now.
and the remote ran out of batteries a while ago, so the only way to turn the TV on is to get up and push the buttons. There's no way of you accidentally rolling over on the remote while you're sleeping. And you're
And
pretty
none of the
sure
other
you locked
actors
that
are on
door before you went to bed, but now it's unlocked.
and none of the other actors are on the screen, just George. He's looking straight at the camera. There's no laugh track. He's just saying your name over and over again. That thing that happens to all of us.
Yeah,
But yeah, today we're going to be reviewing a George Harrison album, a little post Beatles.
only the first half
Um,
though, because it is a two-disc
yes,
album.
it's a actually it's originally released as a triple album.
Really?
Uh, yes, but the last third is like this thing called the it's called like the jams, uh, which is basically like kind of it was called Apple Jam, which was like a list of like cuts and like kind of extras and bits. So it's
Okay.
not really like part of the album proper.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be doing the first half of the LP, sides disc one, and then next week we'll be doing disc a two. Um, but yeah, I'll give a little background on those who are maybe a little more or a little less familiar with George Harrison's work.
Well,
So
Cooper, as we've established, George Harrison is the least known Beatle.
that is off your sample size of like two.
Yeah, but neither of them got it.
He was considered the most quiet Beatle. I mean, everyone of course knows McCartney and Lennon, the famous singer
Mm-hmm.
songwriter duos, and then Ringo is just Ringo.
Because he was a meme.
He's a bit of a meme. So
Yeah,
George was kind of fell between the cracks,
the
but
forgotten Beatle.
and he it was hard for him to get a word in edgewise between McCartney and Lennon. Uh, so of course he was a singer songwriter. He was like kind of the guitar player in the Beatles. He wrote Taxman, Within You, Without You, My Guitar Gently Weeps, Here Comes the Sun, something. So he made some good songs with the Beatles discography, but there's a lot of them in that discography, so he got a little overshadowed.
Well, I mean,
Overshadowed.
come on. While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Here Comes the Sun. Like, Here Comes the Sun is one of the most famous Beatles songs, I'd argue.
Oh yeah, no, not that he didn't write hits. I mean, and something is one of my favorite Beatles songs of all time. Um, but yeah, he's just it was when you're underneath McCartney and Lennon, who had much stronger personalities than George.
Yeah,
Um,
Lennon was something.
yes, McCartney was famously kind of domineering
Mm-hmm.
in terms of his studio sessions. So it's kind of hard for him to get a word in edgewise. I mean, I think that I think that goes to show the fact that they broke up in 1970, and he released this album in 1970, and it's a triple album. Like he was just sitting on this material that they would let him put in the Beatles.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he was pretty prolific post leaving the Beatles. Obviously, he tragically passed away in 2001 from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a good 30-year period of him being active as a solo artist, and this was um, not his actually first solo album, but his first one, obviously, after leaving the Beatles. And then, of course, you do some albums with the platinum selling supergroup, the Traveling Wilburys.
I've heard of them
Um,
before.
yes, we've actually reviewed four of their founding members:
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Lynne, Bob Dylan, George Harrison now, and
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
Just got to do Roy Orbison now.
Yeah, just got to do
Why
Roy
did we do
Orbison
Dylan
roll.
before Harrison? Like, come on.
Hey, like a Rolling Stone. Hey, we're actually good thing you brought up Dylan because obviously they have a long relationship, and Dylan actually writes a few of the songs on this album. Um, the only other writer on it is Harrison, uh, which, speaking of them, like I said, released in November of 1970, his first solo work after the Beatle breakup, and it had hit singles "My Sweet Lord," "What Is Life," um, and it was a bestseller when it came out. Of course, obviously, coming right after the Beatles, everyone wants more Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it charted #1 worldwide, and during the final years of his life, this was right before 2001, he was able to do a 30-year anniversary of the album's release with a reissuing, um, which was actually, at least for me, the version I listened to, or part of the remasters. I listened to the 2014 remaster, but this came with it. Um, yeah, it's widely considered Harrison's best work, um, and kind of like kind of a what's the word? A vindication of his songwriting skills, and after kind of being under the thumb of Lennon and McCartney for so long, kind of make people appreciate him a little bit more in retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I agree with people saying this is his best work. I kind of like Cloud Nine was pretty good too.
Oh no, no, I'm not to say his other works is bad. It's just popular consensus from what I was reading is that basically this is considered his best album typically, but
Hmm.
obviously that's up to debate.
Subjective, completely, just
It's
like
subjective,
anything.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure there's some pretty objective albums. Like Bop's the worst ELO album. Uh, that's just
Well,
that's just facts.
that can be mathematically proven.
We actually went in and crushed the numbers. It just doesn't sound as good.
No. um.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that's. I think we have enough hemming and hawing. Can just jump into the album. And like Sam said, we're just reviewing the first half of the album, so all the way up to Run of the Mill, the end of side two.
We've got a short
So
attention span, so screw that. No, we.
we don't want to stretch it too. We want to. If it's a double album, you want to appreciate this. We've done it a couple times. We did it on the wall with Pink Floyd.
Yeah, the wall.
So
I feel like the wall's a bit longer though.
yeah, but savor it. But yeah, we'll jump into track #1. I'd have you anytime.
Ooh, Cooper, you flirt.
Oh, and this is like I said, this is Harrison written, but also Bob Dylan co-wrote it. So you'll see a little bit of that influence in there.
He's a good writer, just not a good singer.
No, no, he definitely has good songwriting skills,
Mm-hmm.
which I think can attest on this album, which starts with these really mellow guitars and George's, quiet but quite firm vocals floating over it.
Yeah. I'll talk about this a couple times probably throughout, but the mixing on this album is pretty piss poor throughout.
There's some moments are better than others. And obviously we'll get to the worst ones.
Yeah.
At least on this first song, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of a style for this first one. It feels like there's a little bit of bass boosting and a little something kind of masking that feels like the instruments are put further back. It's also possible that it's the 70s and that's just the equipment he's using. And it kind of gives it a calm and dreamy feel.
Which I think
Continuing with the mixing, the drums are exclusively in the left ear. Which is an extremely stupid decision. But hey, he just came from the breakup of the Beatles, and they fucking love that stuff. So
I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
yeah,
Maybe, I mean, obviously it's not the strongest drumming on the song in terms of
mm-mm.
like it's very mellow. Um, But yeah, I think this is a very good opener. I mean, it's a mood setter.
Uh,
But good electric and acoustic guitar. I like Dylan's songwriting, and Eric Clapton's on the electric. He's actually very prominently featured throughout this entire album.
mhm.
On a lot of the songs, he's the electric guitarist.
He does a very good job. I
Uh,
I will kind of disagree with you there. It's a very good track. You know, calming, maybe a tad sleepy. I feel like maybe you wanted to put something a bit stronger to lead a 2 disc album, but fair enough.
I think it's dreamy as opposed to sleepy. Obviously, very deliberate.
Yeah,
Um, and frankly, to me, that kind of fits George's MO. You know, a little quieter, maybe a little less showy, which I think you see in a lot of his Beatles songs as well.
true.
Um, I mean, it gets louder later in the album, but we'll get to that. And the chorus picks up the energy a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Jump to track number 2 if you're ready, Coop.
Yes, track number two, "My Sweet Lord,"
Which
which
is
was
his most famous song as of this point now because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
yes, it was also the lead single from this album.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it went. I forget the exact statistics of it, but it went number one in the charts.
My other
Which is
theory for
interesting because it's. Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, which is interesting because it's actually a song that's basically praising the Hindu god Krishna, which George Harrison was famously, very into the Hindu culture
Hmm.
um, and the kind of religion within that.
I was gonna say that the other reason this might be so popular is because it was mono.
Yes, this one is in mono. Uh, hey, they ate that up in the '70s. I mean, they didn't really have headphones as much in the '70s, so
True. Yeah,
it's
you
less.
don't really notice.
This is more of after. You can't really blame them for not anticipating the smartphone
That's a
or
very
the
good point.
headphone.
Headphones were definitely not a thing, so it's not like you'd be like, put your headphones on and man, why is this only coming through this one ear? There's 2 speakers, or maybe more.
Hey guys, I don't think we should have the drumming in just the left ear. What if people are listening to this on their Walkman? What are you talking about, Ringo? It's 1967.
All right, that's a fair point. Um, but I feel like those, just like with Pet Sounds, those older albums need to be re-released in mono because
And
it's
a lot of them
terrible
have.
terrible to listen to in any other format.
I don't know. Pet Sounds is fine in stereo. Um, but back to the song. You got Eric on the electric again. You got Ringo on the drums. Um, he actually plays the drums on a couple of the songs throughout the album, um, which is kind of funny because I think after the Beatles broke up, Ringo was the only one who appeared on like everybody's other albums because he was the only one that they all still liked, which I think is pretty funny.
He seems like a likable guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Paul and John were sick of each other,
Right.
and George was kind of still upset about being, stamped underneath both of them. So, but Ringo's just like, hey, I'll do the drums.
Um, but yeah, you talked about Clapton a bit already, but there's some fun bit of guitar work in this, and the song builds really well.
Yes.
Uh,
Um,
the
It
drums
still
don't
has
really.
that mellow quality. Oh, sorry. Go on.
We need to relearn how to not interrupt each other. Cooper, is there a bit of a delay?
It's been so long, Sam. I'm just so used to talking.
You just want to talk over me. Uh,
That's how you go.
but the percussion really doesn't come in till like about a minute and a half mark, which I felt this is one of the few songs that really builds fully, which being the lead single kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it starts off kind of carrying the energy from "I'd Have You Anytime," but like you said, those Ringo drums come in. The backing vocals that are kind of almost church choir esque.
Mm-hmm.
Um, back up George's vocals. And while George might not be the best vocalist technically, throughout the album, I just started to like his vocals more and more of just kind of the mood they carry, the character. It has a very relaxed feel to it. Um,
Yeah,
and like you said, this song has just a good build.
yeah. I like his vocals when I'm able to hear him. Um,
Well, hey, let's save that for track number three.
um, we get a nice Eric Clapton guitar solo around the 2:30 mark in this one, which is just kind of the opening lick again. So I don't know how much of a solo it is, but it sticks around pretty prominently for the rest of the song, and it provides a really good break for the lyrics, which are a bit repetitive. But the play between the choir and Harrison kind of provides enough spice to keep it fresh for the 5 minutes, especially with the choir constantly changing what it's saying and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I really like the acoustic guitar on this song
Mm-hmm.
as well. There's actually like six acoustic guitar players on here, including Peter Frampton.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just this nice, really stacked, in studio sound.
Yeah,
Which,
there's good reason why it's the most popular song off this album.
yeah, it's just a great listen.
Yeah.
And we can go on now to track number three, Wah Wah. I'll let you start it off, Sam, since I imagine you've got something to say about the song.
Um. Yeah, I mean the first thing I have to say is only positives. He really doesn't shoehorn himself into a single style. He kind of jumps all over the place, which I appreciate, especially since this is a long album. We've had the first three songs. One and two are kind of similar, but this is definitely very different from those. Kind of gave me a bit more of an early rock vibe with the
Yeah,
layer
it's a
upon
bit
layer
harder.
guitar.
Yeah, this one's much heavier, and it kind of goes for this wall of sound quality,
Yeah.
um, which I wasn't a fan of.
Mm-mm.
Like the instrumentation is great, like the performances. I like the vocal wah-wahs. I like George's vocal performance and everything that's going on, but it goes back to that mixing of just like it's like muddied, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like covered in this syrup
The
of
vocals are so far back in the mix. Um, there's like six different guitars playing, which it sounds like there were six acoustic guitar players, so I got that right. And percussion. And there's not much happening in the vocal line, to be fair, but it's so far back there. And then we run into the guitar solo, like at the 3 minute mark, and it's like on the other side of the room. We can barely hear it over the backing track blasting the same 3 bars of music over and over again, which is covering up the much more interesting solo that's all the way over there. You can almost hear it, but it's just not mixed very well.
it's kind of messed up whenever the trumpet section comes in, and it's like wait, it's in another room.
Yeah, it's like, was that trumpet? It sounds like trumpets, but I'm not sure because I can't hear it over the 6 acoustic guitars.
Which is a shame because this is a pretty fun song.
Yeah.
I love the energy it brings. And just everything is kind of topsy turvy in terms of the mixing,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of gives me some ear fatigue because it's like a 6 minute song.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
so by the end of it, I'm a little tired of it.
it definitely does not need to be a 5.5 minute song either. Like the guitar solo certainly spice things up, but it doesn't show up till after halfway through. It just kind of is. Most of it is also just the chorus is just him saying wah wah. Like there's not much here. And as you were saying, it kind of gets you're about mixing mud about halfway through. You just can't pick out any single thing to hear. It's just all kind of there, and it has that weird filter that we were talking about for the first song, which worked, but in this one, it just kind of mushes everything together into a disgusting mess.
Yeah, which there's been several covers of the song, so maybe that corrects it. Also, fun fact: Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and Jeff Lynne did a live performance of it after Harrison passed away as a sort of tribute to him. So
I bet they
I'm
played
kind
it
of
better
interested
too.
to hunt down that version.
Yeah, I bet it sounded better.
I'm sure that was in like 2002, so I'm sure they probably had the mixing a little bit more figured out by then.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure somebody out there, if people actually listen to this podcast, would say, oh, it was a style choice. Well, just because you choose to shit on the floor and call it art doesn't make it art.
I mean, to be fair, Wall of Sound was a actual style. I basically enveloped into like shoegaze and what we have nowadays. But in in those days, the mixing wasn't as precise.
No. No, not at
That's what
all.
we've got now. But sometimes could leave some things getting a little muddied. Uh, but yeah, with that, we can I think go on to track number 4, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it a pity? Parentheses version 1. Which version 2 appears later on the album, but we'll get to that when we review the back half.
God damn it.
But even then, this is the longest song of the album at clocking in at over 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It's basically a piano-led ballad. Or a acoustic guitar-led ballad with piano.
Mm-hmm. It starts off really nice. It's got kind of a bit more of a vocal focus. But as the song builds with instruments coming in, George gets further and further back in the mix. It's like
I wish they kept George a little more up front and center.
It's just crazy to me because like it's very clearly like vocals are important on this one, but he just keeps getting further and further away. There's some lovely strings that come in and accompany that twangy electric guitar similar to My Sweet Lord, which was nice to see that style carried over a bit. But we run into an issue with the percussion in this song. This song is 7 minutes long. The percussion plays one bar. It's shake, shake, hit on the tambourine for 7 minutes straight. And then the same on the hi-hats. The drum kit kind of starts to vary itself a little after halfway through. But after the song, I hate the tambourine.
No, I didn't have too much trouble with the percussion on this one. I mean, it's repetitive, sure. But it's obviously not the focus of it.
It's also
there's a lot more focus on the acoustic, the strings, George's voice. And I think the strings, are beautiful whenever they come in.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper, I would have loved to focus on George's voice if I could fucking hear it.
It was pretty far back in the mix, but I wasn't too upset with the drums, at least.
The drums were fine. Plus, it was the tambourine. The tambourine was the loudest thing on the song.
Oh, it wasn't that loud.
Go back and listen to it.
I'm listening to it right now.
It is the loudest part of the song, is the tambourine.
Though I also do really like Clapton's electric guitar work.
Yeah, it's great.
Just so smooth and mellow throughout of it.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say though, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we are talking over each other. I was gonna say the song stretches, and there is some build, but I think if you're gonna keep a song this long and kind of keep it a bit samey, it's kind of good to have this little more mellow energy where it's enough and dense enough that you can get lost in it, but not something that kind of fatigues you by the end of it.
But Cooper, we need a 3-minute outro with a full minute of fade. If we can't have that full minute of the fade, I don't want to make this song. Like,
yeah.
I appreciate the addition of the chorus, like in the last minute or last 2 minutes or so, but otherwise, what the actual fuck? It's a 7-minute song with a 3-minute outro. End the goddamn song. You don't need a minute of fade.
I will say, the fade disappearing in the 2000s, I don't miss it.
No. Like, fade can be, as we've said in the past, it is a tool that can be used right. There are some songs that fade wonderfully. Like, we talked about this off the podcast before. When songs have that fade out and then they come back, that can be done really well. That's kind of a nice little, I thought it was over, but it's actually not. And then, they end the song. This, it fades for a minute after playing the same thing for 2 minutes. Like, you don't need it. You don't need it. 15 seconds of
Yeah.
fade, cut the last 3 minutes of the song. There you go. It's exactly the same.
Come on, George. If you had listened to us, you could have been something
I don't want to
instead
step
of
in and
just
be
a
a producer
Beatle.
for a Beatle, an ex-Beatle, but it feels like I have to.
Yeah, no, it's a log fade, but I still like this song.
Well,
It's the strings and electric guitar. Mwah.
those are good, but I feel like, you, you can
It
put it.
definitely was a bit excessive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which,
You can put a dress on a
oh,
hog, but that still doesn't make it a woman.
what is up with all these shit and hog? your your metaphors for bad aspects of songs. I swear,
I just like metaphors. They're great.
it's true. Metaphors are like a simile. Anyways,
Jump into track number 5.
track
What
number
is
5. What is
life?
life? That's what I'm asking myself right now. Which was another one of the lead singles off of the album, and the first song on side 2 of the album.
I mean, yeah,
That's
okay.
it.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't think about how long those first couple songs were.
Yeah, it's this one's I guess a little more classic rock. Um, Certainly at the beginning of the album, it's a lot more mellow and almost like this kind of proto, soft rock.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's got like a lot more of the classic DNA in it.
Which is really nice to have after the last one, which was 7 minutes of a little bit more sleepy style.
Yeah, it's more energetic. It's got the guitar playing.
Tambourine loud as fuck again.
Honestly, I didn't notice the tambourine that much. So maybe I just have a higher tolerance for Ringo's tambourine playing.
I think it's once I noticed it, I couldn't unnotice it. Because
I mean,
the entire song seems like it's behind an inch and a half of water, and then the tambourine is clear as day.
piercing through.
Yeah.
No, but this one felt like of the ones we're going to review today, the most, I guess, Beatles song on the album, or like maybe like early Beatles, or the more of the boy band Beatles, where it's kind of more of it's a straightforward song,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also got this nice little drop out at like the 2:15 mark, where all the instruments drop out, and then like each guitar enters back on before the song takes off again.
Yeah. I got a bit of a rant for this one. If
Really?
I haven't
Okay.
ranted enough already.
No, go ahead.
But this is like the vocal performance again. Love George Harrison's voice, but it's so far back in the mix, it's behind the backing track. Just bring it forward just a little bit. I just want it louder than the tambourine. Was the tambourine in the Beatles? No, it was George. You don't have to be a forgotten Beatle on your own goddamn album.
Yeah, I'm not sure who did the vocal mixing on this album, but
It's not good.
which yeah, it's kind of a theme throughout the album, but it's just a shame. Like I said, I really like George's vocals. Wish there was a little more focus on him.
I need to see who the producer was on this album now. I bet it wasn't Jeff Lynne.
I mean, I doubt it.
It wasn't. It was George Harrison and Phil Spector. Who's Phil
well,
Spector?
I know he worked with the Beatles some, but yeah, George should produce himself a little farther forward.
Yeah, you want to know why? Phil Spector is a
Why?
murderer. He was convicted for murder in the 2000s.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He died in January, actually.
Oh, this year.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's why the mixing sucks. It was done by a murderer.
Wow, that's I did not expect to go down that rabbit hole.
Listen, George,
Well,
if you just picked up Jeff Lynne like you did for other albums, it would be great. Cloud 9, perfect mixing because it was produced by Jeff Lynne.
To our knowledge, Jeff Lynne's never murdered anyone.
That's true. To our knowledge.
I don't know. He's still got a couple of years left in him. You gotta shake up the old murder hobby.
Oh, I know. Was it Roy Wood or one of the other ELO guys died pretty young, and there was an accident. So there's possibility there. Anyway, back to the song.
Yeah, I didn't expect there to be a murder as the producer, but yeah, I think that's all I had to say about it. It was a nice
Uh,
little ditty.
yeah, the only other thing I had for this one was while the vocal lines are beautiful, there's not really much going for them. It's
Oh yeah,
just kind of the
it's a very
chorus over
straightforward
and over
song.
again.
It's a very love me do type type song.
Yeah. Jumping to
Huh.
track number 6.
Track number 6, "If Not for You," which is actually a cover of a Bob Dylan song. Um, and it's actually the Bob Dylan version was released in October of 1970, and this album came out in November of 1970. So it came
Which
out like a month after it came out, which is hilarious.
which would I would call serious party foul on if Dylan had not worked on this album.
No, clear it had Dylan's blessing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I just find that pretty funny. I was just like immediately,
Yeah.
uh, which is kind of a shame because it's a fine song. It's got like a lot more of a it's a Bob Dylan song, so it's a lot more folksy.
Hmm.
It's got harmonica, piano, some good guitar playing. And I haven't listened to the Bob Dylan version of this song, but I imagine I like George's vocals more than Dylan's.
Yes. And the other great thing about this song, I wasn't listening to anything else other than it was properly mixed. The mush
Yeah, this one
filter is
actually,
taken away and you can hear everything.
which I wonder if it's because it's a Bob Dylan cover. Maybe he just did it that way.
Yeah, I bet
Uh,
Dylan had a serious hand in this one. And while I do not like his singing style, he is a very good music producer and songwriter.
yes. And, yeah, this is a fun ditty. Like, it's got a different vibe from the others, obviously, since it's a cover, but it still feels within the character of the album.
Hmm. Yeah, very
Um,
much so.
and it's just nice to obviously Harrison and Dylan will form the Traveling Wilburys later in life.
Hmm.
So it's kind of nice, obviously even back in the 70s, they were, riffing and kind of covering each other's songs. So, it's just a sweet little ditty.
Yeah. Now, do you think it was Dylan on the harmonica? I like to think it was Dylan playing the harmonica.
Let me double check. It's actually uncredited. Hmm.
So there's the
Wait, no,
possibility.
it was George Harrison. Never mind.
I wanted to I wanted to think it was just Bob Dylan in the background on harmonica.
They just borrowed it.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean it's an all right song. The best part for me was you could actually hear everything. And there's since it's a Dylan song, there's proper building. There's a bit of organ that kind of pops in around the halfway point as well, which is really nice, along with the harmonica. Again, tambourine, too loud, but not the worst instance of it.
No, I don't have too much to say about it. I just think
Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
yeah, it's just
I just think it's neat.
just a good song. Jump to
Which on to
track number 7.
track number 7, which is very much a change of pace. This one's like just straight kind of folk country.
Yeah, very
Um,
country.
it's like I get like very. It's like the scene in a cowboy movie where they enter like the sleepy saloon and
Hmm.
there's like a sleepy saloon song playing and like no one's really doing anything.
Hmm.
That's basically this song.
Like that scene from the Muppet movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like literally exactly like that. Or there's like one cowboy in the corner, who's passed out from drinking too much whiskey.
Yeah.
The bartender's just alone by himself. That's this song.
Yeah, yeah, I had the same thing that was very sleepy. Um, I I will say there's that ever present rock organ in the background that was kind of softly murmuring throughout. I really dug that.
Yeah, no, that was fine. It's interesting how much this like a very Americana slipping into this song.
Hmm.
Given that George is English. Um, and Frampton on guitar, he does some good guitar work.
Hmm.
Song doesn't really vibe with me. Um, I think it's like a little too bare in my tastes. Like there's nothing really to grab onto, and with it being so low energy, it's sleepy. Really.
I think it was sleepy as well, but I kind of appreciated the respite from the wall of sound. And it's very crisp as well. Very well
It is
mixed.
crisp. I just think I feel like it's missing like a couple instruments that could have filled out the sound a bit more.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Definitely could have maybe bring that organ up just a little bit more. It was pretty far back there, and throw in maybe
Which
a
so I've been reading through the Wikipedia pages for this album, right?
uh
Just to get some background knowledge on it. And obviously, since it's George Harrison, there's like every song has a Wikipedia page. Um,
of course.
but I think it's pretty funny because they performed this song, or George Harrison performed this song with Bob Dylan um, at a festival, and and it was kind of considered a flop because it's like this is not concert music, you know.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
It's like
play
a
this at a
super
concert.
sleepy saloon song. Um,
Like, what are you supposed to
I,
do in an
I,
audience when this comes on?
yeah, I don't. I just found that. I just imagine Bob Dylan during the song, and the audience being like, "I guess we sit back down, or go get some water or something."
Yeah, yeah, this is not something you play at a concert.
And apparently, the only reason Dylan never performed this live again after he was completely put out after everyone hated it was Harrison persuaded him we should play it live again. Um, and he's quoted as saying, or someone's quoted as saying, Bob wouldn't let George down, which is I think is sweet.
Oh, that is sweet.
Which going on to the next song, which is a very different type of song. Track number 8, "Let It Down." Track number wait,
Yep,
not 8. Yes, 8. "Let It Down," which is kind of this proto hard rock. Um,
yeah,
I'm, though I really dig what they do on this song. All right, I say they, George Harrison, where it starts off with kind of the main chorus line. It's like this hard rock. You got this strong guitar, some blaring horns beneath heavy drumming, and then the intro stops and it goes right into this really mellow, guitar and vocal performance before blasts back into it in the chorus. I really like that kind of catch and release of it.
mm-hmm. I would have liked it more if I could hear the vocals.
The vocals, they're a bit far back in the mix during the chorus, especially. But I think during the verses, where everything lightens up a bit and the clouds kind of break, George is right there, and that's where he gives the best vocal performance during the song, anyways. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, going talking about the instrumentals in this one. I feel like I've barely commented on the instrumental lines throughout this whole song. Specifics anyway, other than complaining I can't pick out instruments because it's wall of sound. But on this song, additionally, I can't pick out specific instruments because it's a wall of sound. That filter I talked about in the very first song is kind of ever present, and it makes everything really muddy and difficult to pick out specific lines. It doesn't have a terrible sound. It's fine just to listen to, but if you're sitting down to analyze it, it's like pulling back the sheet and you're like, oh, it's kind of just fuzzy and there's not much actually there. Because I know in a lot of previous albums, you sit down, you listen to it, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's good. And then you sit down and analyze, you're like, oh, it's so dense. There's so much going on. But this one, you're like, oh, it's not any deeper than I thought. I went to go dive in the deep end, and it turned out it was a 1-inch deep stream.
Oh, I think you're doing this song a bit of a disservice.
That's not necessarily a comment on this song specifically, just kind of this album as a whole.
Okay. This album definitely is muddier than I would have liked in terms of mixing.
Especially for the 2014 remaster.
Yeah.
if this was the original album, sure, fair enough. It's the 70s. You got the equipment you got. We're spoiled to a higher standard of music these days.
Yeah, I'm sure George Harrison couldn't get good equipment.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's quite a few of the Beatles songs that are about 20 times as crisp as this album.
Yeah.
From the 60s. But 2014, really? You released this in 2014 and you feel like this is a good mix. I don't know. It's very, very muddy.
I agree with you for the most part.
There was a murderer as a producer, so
we'll just say everything that's bad with this album is because the that producer.
Yep.
We'll waive George Harrison of any responsibility
Yep.
of not knowing that he was producing with a guy who murdered somebody. Um,
Or would murder somebody.
yes, he hadn't murdered yet, so you know. But no, I don't know exactly how it's different from like this one has the heaviness in the brass, but I like it a lot more than Wah Wah.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
for
just
sure.
just because it commits, it's a little crisper. It's still got some of the muddiness, but since it kind of lightens up during those verses and then just gets heavy during the chorus, I don't get the ear fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And when the heaviness comes in and lights up, I really dig that. Um, and I like the impassioned vocal performance during it.
Yeah, it's good. It just would be nice to be able to hear it a bit better.
No, I completely agree.
And as you said before, the brass is fantastic. It's such a good use of brass. Terrible use of fade, though. Again,
It's not as egregious as some of the other songs on this album, but
not
yeah,
as
this one's
egregious
good.
as the other one we talked about, but still, it's the second worst.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's how about we head on to the last song that we'll be reviewing for today? Track number 9, Run of the Mill. Which goes back to a very mellow acoustic ballad.
Not just mellow, crisp, mellow acoustic.
Crisp. Yes. Yeah, that's probably the most crisp one out of the 9 we listened to.
Yeah. Oh, it's so crisp.
Especially in terms of George's vocals.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Especially that smattering of the brass. The song just starts in such a great way. It's beautiful.
Can I just say I like to use the word tasteful for this brass.
Mm-hmm.
Which, because there's
Tasteful
not.
brass. Tasteful bit of brass.
I like to taste that brass. Because, yeah, this song has trumpet, saxophone, a horn arrangement. Um, and this is also paired up with a mostly vocal, acoustic piano-led song. Which, typically, those are two very different things. But I know the way this one's, unlike a lot of this album, it's mixed just right, where the brass is, it's in the background, it's a supporting brass somehow. And it just, really pairs well with the rest of the instrumentation. This
Yeah,
one had a deft touch.
yeah, and it. I mean, it also really helps that this is probably the best produced song that we've listened to so far.
Yes.
It sounds like there's thought put into the percussion and brass lines. There's actually non-repetitive vocals. The brass is a bit repetitive, but they don't really have a really in-your-face part for the song. They're just kind of a backing component, which it's fair enough to cycle the backing track.
Yeah. I don't know. I dig this song. If it it's a it's not it's it may it may be run of the mill, but it's not run of the mill. There it is. See, I nailed it.
You got there.
It's a sub 3 minutes. It's a short and sweet song. Just great use of the instrumentation and probably the best mixing that we've listened to so far on the album.
Yeah, definitely.
And a solid ending to disc 1 of this album.
Yeah. So I got to ask, because on Spotify there's one more song after this.
What song is that?
I got to pull it up again because I've already forgotten the name. It is. Come on. Load. It is. I Live for You.
Yes, that was actually something that was added into the 2001 remaster.
Okay, I figured it was something like that.
So we kind of prefer to listen to the as released in terms of the actual track listing if we can help it. So we don't have to go and hunt through every single Japanese exclusive.
Hey, sometimes those Japanese exclusives are the best song on the album.
No, sometimes they're bangers, but I like to think of I like to go with the original US release.
Yeah. Hey,
if we can help it.
I can't listen to Time unless I listen to the extra 3 tracks.
Oh, that's just because it's your favorite like album of all time.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cooper. If it wasn't, it'd be concerning how often I bring it up.
It would be if you're just kind of lukewarm on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it. I've only listened to it like 40 times.
Sam, you talk about it like every day.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like a 7. But no, that's the end of disc 1 for this album. Like I
Yeah.
said, we'll be doing the back half of this album next week. And I guess we usually at the end of our reviews, we give a favorite, least favorite, and a rating. Obviously, I don't think we should give a rating if it's only half the project, but
No.
maybe we should give a favorite, least favorite of what we had so far that we reviewed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You wanna go first with your favorite? We'll start positive, so then we can really hit that
Yes.
negative.
Really just end on a down note.
Mm-hmm.
No. So there's a lot of good tracks on this first half of the album. I like the opening. I'd have you anytime. In my sweet lord's sweet little ditty. I kept coming back to my favorite, maybe "Let It Down," and this could change, but I just really love the heavy rocking vibe of this song. Mixing suboptimal, yes, but I like the vocal performance. I like the instrumentation. The whole vibe of just like this, heaviness, and then the breaking open, and then going back into the heaviness. I dig. Yeah, I really dig this track. What about you, Sam?
I think I have my favorite. Run of the Mill was really good, um, but I wouldn't listen to it willingly a couple of times. Whereas My Sweet Lord, I have listened to that song. Just like, oh hey, that's a good song. I'm gonna put it on. Would I do that for Run of the Mill? Probably not. I think my reasoning for having it as the best was just the structure of the album. I was so excited to have a properly produced song that I really liked it. Um, but I think I'll have to be boring and pick My Sweet Lord. Run of the
It's
Mill
a
is
good
really
track.
good, but that's compared to everything else.
I mean, I don't blame you. It's a great track.
Yeah.
The appropriate lead single.
What about your least favorite song?
Um, I know we crapped on Wawa a lot, but I don't think it's my least favorite. Just because I really see what he was doing there, even if the mixing was kind of ass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably my least favorite's Behind the Locked Door. Um, Song just wasn't my vibe. It was just too bare and sleepy for my tastes. Which I mean, there's a couple low energy songs on this album, but I think this is, for the most part, they're done very well. This one, I just didn't care for the proto, like semi Americana sound that he was going for. So it's just completely skippable for me. What about you?
Yeah, I figured that would be yours. For me, it was. Let me scroll up to get the name correct. It was "Isn't It a Pity?" It it just blew my mind that was the longest song on disc one. Um, the mixing is probably the worst on this first disc. There's 3 minutes of outro. It's just not good. Um, the the backing track is um, about a bar just looped for 7 minutes, which you can get away with that if it's a 3 minute song, but come on, 7 minutes. You got to put a bit more effort in to make it work for that long. So I just think it was the worst song on this disc so far. I'm really excited for version 2. That's gonna be great.
Oh, maybe version 2 will address um, the mistakes that you saw in version 1. Mm-hmm.
I can only hope.
I mean, it's a little more stripped back version, um, but it's not as self indulgent in terms of the length. It's immediately 5 minutes.
Oh, well, there we go. Didn't even strip the whole 3 minute outro, just 2 minutes of it.
Yeah, so like we said, we usually give a rating at this time of the review, but since we're only halfway through the album, I think we'll give that rating after our next half review.
I agree. I think it'd be
Which
unfair to judge half the work.
that does just make sense. The only thing we judge here is murder, which you should never do.
Correct. Well, I'm sure there's, as you said, Cooper, never is a strong statement. Would you never steal? Well, what if I was starving? Sir, you're not allowed to work at this restaurant.
It's hey, that's a very broad term.
I told that to
I think in most cases, for some reason, I don't think Phil's his name's Spectre. That's like Harvey Specter. That feels like a villain name, which I guess he murdered a guy. So
yeah. By the way, I
but
told that story to my coworkers and they laughed really hard.
Oh well, that hurt. Well, I'll never get to work at that restaurant now.
All right. Well,
yeah. So in lieu of a review, we also typically do a spare tire, which we kind of talk about the music we've been listening to this week, or I guess in this case, the past month.
Cooper, you didn't. You got to do the roll. You got to say we roll on over to the spare tire.
Roll all over.
You got to really lean into those unnecessary car puns.
Man, I'm messing up the transitions. We've been talking over each other.
You really just have forgotten how to stream.
Yeah, unlike you, you just got a follower on your personal channel.
Yeah,
you're rolling the dough.
Yeah, I'm up to a whole like 11 followers now. Somehow I've gotten more followers in the past 4 months when I haven't streamed than we have doing this podcast. Oof.
Oh man, that's weird. Well, what have you been listening to, Sam?
I've kind of been all over the shop. I've been listening to a lot of Pink Floyd. Listened to Dark Side of the Moon quite a few times. Listened to a bit of The Wall in there. Listened to a bit of Estella again. The other day when I was listening to going to my hike. I was listening to a bit of Jamiroquai.
Good. Which album?
Just there. I wanted to listen to Virtual Insanity, and then it just started playing their top hits after that. So
and you're like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's see what else I've kind of been listening to all over the place. Obviously a lot of ELO. As
is tradition.
Yeah,
they're like a 6.5 band.
I was doing some Daft Punk in there as well, I believe. But yeah, mainly Pink Floyd, I'd say. I really got into Dark Side of the Moon. What about you, Coop?
It's a great album.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Controversial take, I know.
Yeah, very controversial.
I've kind of been listening to a smattering of things. My project I've been trying to do is listen through the Modest Mouse discography. Because I never listened to any of their stuff, and they have a new album coming out in just about a month. So I figured I'd work through their back catalog.
I don't know who that is.
They're the guys who did Float On, you know. We'll all float on, okay. We'll all float on, okay.
Nope.
We'll all float on anyway.
Nope, don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh well, they're pretty good. They're very got that they're like indie rock, you know, digging a little into not emo per se, but you know, a little, you know, of the more negative emotions.
A little punky.
A little punky, yes. So I've been working through their discography, been enjoying it pretty immensely. They have quite a mood. I've also listened to listening through some Charles Mingus, of course. I'm not sure if you ever listened to his album, The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady. Pretty good.
I've not listened to the album, but I've listened to a couple of the songs.
I'd give the full album a listen. It's Charles Mingus. I don't think I have to toot his horn. He toots his own horn.
We have fun here.
We have fun. But beyond that, just some odd and end albums. Listen to found this artist called Squid. They released an album called Bright Greenfield, kind of a noise rock album. Listen to Paranol's new album. They're kind of more of a shoegaze thing. Uh, and I'd also like to give a shout out to St. Vincent's new album. Daddy's Home. Pretty good. It's I don't even know what to exactly call it genre wise. Like postmodern pop with 70s undertones. Uh, either way, it's hard to classify, but it's very good. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but I like some more esoteric stuff, and I think you should definitely give it a listen, especially if you're a St. Vincent fan. But I guess if you're a St. Vincent fan, you probably already listened to the album. So why are you listening to me?
Why are we listening to you, Cooper?
Yeah, wait, I don't have any authority. I just listen to music. Anyone can do that.
Yeah, and when we started this, we weren't even very good at it.
I'd argue we're still not very good at it.
I'd like to think we're a bit better. Today.
Maybe like a 10% bump.
All right.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been listening to, and that's the way the news goes.
Yeah,
as I'm always saying.
Yeah, that's what you always say.
A classic catchphrase.
Well, why don't we get up and out and wrap up there?
Yeah, onward and downward.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Let's see. Actually, before I end, I want to see. Let's see how many viewers do we have? We've got 3. So there's 2 other people other than me monitoring. So to the 2 of you, thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard and you want to hear some more, you can head on over to the YouTube. Just scroll down. There's that picture of Jeff Lynne. Click on that. Take you to YouTube. All the past episodes are there. They might not be live. I don't remember because it takes like 5 minutes to make them go live. Oh, hey, it's Matt. And 5 minutes is a long time, so I'm very lazy. But they're all there, or will be eventually, and you can watch them. And if you're on YouTube and you like what you heard, you can come watch us live. We'll probably talk to you because we've had one chat, and it was just now when I called Matt out. And if you want to hear what we're listening to next, Cooper.
Yes, if you want to find out what you're listening to, go over to the Audio Shop Podcast Twitter at AudioShop14. We'll let you know the album we're listening to. And we typically listen to it at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights. Obviously, this week we did 9 p.m. Eastern, but I expect we'll get back to schedule next week.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you'll know what we're listening to. And if you want to listen to it ahead of time and know what we're talking about, I find that listening to music's better than someone describing it to you with words, typically. But, you know,
yeah.
Each their own.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, for as much as I joke about it, I don't know if I'd be comfortable if we had like 100 people listening when we did these.
No, that's too much responsibility.
Yeah, I kind of like that it's small.
It can be a little more freewheeling.
Yeah.
You can say those controversial opinions like, yeah, sure, the Beatles were fine, but have you ever heard of the Beastie Boys?
Exactly. I
don't know who I pissed off. Probably pissed off both the Beastie Boys and the Beatles fans.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
See ya.